I guess first off, I'm pretty glad that anyone but Daniel campaign didn't work out.
We didn't have the funding. We couldn't get it. We couldn't get it.
Shocking, your super PAC couldn't afford that. Super GPAC. I'd also like to make it pretty clear that I never voted for Obamacare. Everyone knows that. Anyway, on a more serious note, I like GPAC quite a bit, and I think that GPAC is our only mechanism for dialogue with the university and with the administration. And so it has a really important role as an advocate for student needs, both current students and future students, and that's a lot about how I see my time as president, is sort of focusing on today, how do we make sure that everyone is happy, but I've got such great vice presidential nominees and the rest of XCOM that I don't have to worry about that so much as I'd like to really think about how to make LBJ sort of improve its reputation and improve the quality of the image of LBJ. I think that serves us as well as we go forward. We're going to be LBJ graduates for the rest of our lives. A few sort of concrete things that I sort of thought would be sort of immediate projects. I think that addressing core requirements is important. It's a subject of endless debate in the hallways, in open forums, and here in our meetings. GPS, which has the probably least flexible core requirements, and then MPAF, which has sort of the far extreme of maybe too much flexibility, since we're not sure what each professor teaches and why. And I think that also just sort of looking really carefully at PRPs and discussing with the administration how we can make PRP sort of adapt to the changing university. I mean, Dean Hutchings made such a big point about a study abroad, about new opportunities, about going to DC, and about all these sort of new opportunities and new exciting initiatives. But the PRP sort of stuck in this very rigid mode, both for MPAF and for GPS. And so I'd really like to see that adapt to the needs of current students and, like I said, the students that are going to be coming after us. And I mean, I think that Nkechi and Roger spoke really well about diversity, and so I won't sort of rehash that, but that's one of my biggest items for change. I think that we really need to have a frank discussion about diversity. I think that we need to sort of really engage the university actively about diversity. We've done great things this year, and I think that we've really started the conversation, and I'd really like to see that conversation move forward and us continue to be that voice of the administration. We need to have this sort of diversity talk frequently, and we need to be proactive about what we're doing about it. And I think on a more fun note, I think this year I've been so impressed by what our student groups are capable of doing. We have some really impressive brown bags with some really great speakers, but I've been completely unimpressed by attendance. And I think that really working with student groups to really find their potential on, not just in the school, but in the university at large. I mean, we bring big speakers from the area, from all over Texas, even from outside of Texas, to speak here. Why is there only 10 people sitting in room 122? There should be a lot of press about this. And this is sort of also broadly about our bigger goals as a university and as a school of sort of expanding our image. And honestly, I'm just really happy. First, I'm glad to be nominated, and I'm really happy to be serving as president. I think that I've enjoyed GPAC. I've enjoyed the time that I've spent with XCOM. I've enjoyed the time that I've spent with the General Assembly, and I've just loved my time here, and I'd like to just make it better every day. So, thank you, and I look forward.
Woo! Couple minutes of questions for Daniel.
Daniel.
Just the same question, because obviously I think everybody at GPAC kind of struggles with that. Like, we have these great ideas, but how do we better attendance, participation? Like, we're already reaching out via email and Facebook, and we talk to our friends, and we're pretty well connected. So what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just working with the student groups on that side, working a lot on planning with them, making sure that we're advertising the university at large, making sure that we're sort of communicating the relevance of the subject matter to their policy interests. You know, even if you're here and you want to do security studies, going to the disability training is going to be helpful for you for the rest of your life. And being able to communicate that to students is going to be really important. And I think that's a big sort of gap that's been missing. And it's a little bit is marketing. I'm not a marketing major, but I think that a lot of it is just communicating a message of why is this relevant to you? I mean, and if you don't know who the speaker is, why would you even show up, right? But the speaker might be someone that's really famous and that knows a lot about education policy, and you think, well, I want to go do international development. You know, I want to go work for a nonprofit in Ghana. Well, understanding education policy in the United States is going to inform you intelligently when you're discussing international development policy abroad. So I think that a lot of it is just communicating those sort of the relevance of these events to students. And as far as the social things are concerned, you know, I think that not everyone comes to school with the same idea of socializing and of going to all these happy hours. But, you know, I'm always surprised by the people that show up at things. Someone showed up at the karaoke night, you know, all four of us that were there, and I was super surprised, you know, by who people showed up there. And I think that sometimes it's just about finding the right niche and just try hitting for everything and hoping that we'll get people's interest, because that's the most fun about being here. People just have a whole variety of interests, and you know, we don't need to have happy hours with 100 people. I mean, sure, that's really fun, but that's not like a priority. You know, I mean, the service events, on my opinion, is a completely different matter. I mean, those should be heavily attended, and I think that it's once again communicating the relevance of doing service and why you are training to be a public servant. You should do service. I mean, we should really be communicating that. Mary?
I think one of the themes that has come up over my experience with GPAC and talking to other GPAC members is getting the administration to, I guess, listen and actually implement some of the more controversial ideas. I think diversity is one of the big ones, but getting the administration to change. GPAC has the ability to talk to the administration, but the administration isn't necessarily listening as much as we would want, or at least taking action. Do you have any ideas for changing that in the future?
Sure. I mean, we've actually just been talking about this quite a bit in XCOM, and I think that one of the big things, I think the administration just has no idea what we do, and also I don't think they're aware of the fact that we really do represent the students, that we are their one voice about the students. And you know, even I'm in a higher education PRP, and every time I mention that students are the reason we're here, or the instructor for the PRP just laughs hysterically. He's a vice provost of the university. He's like, this would be here even if you weren't here. But point of the matter is that, you know, we are the reason the school is here, and I think that a few kind of concrete ideas are bringing things up frequently, looking for openings, you know, looking for times when the school might be looking for advice, and really taking advantage of those moments to sort of push our student agenda is going to be important. Sort of in governance theory, you know, when you see a democratic opening, you're going to want to take it and take full advantage of it. And I think that that's those sort of openings we need to look for. And I think also having a meeting with the administration once we have the new XCOM set up, so that the administration has a counterpart for each subject matter. So Lana knows what OPD does, so that Chaz knows what OPD does, and that Chaz and student life have a connection, or however we decide to sort of making sure that there's counterparts with the administration, and maybe create more of a working colleague-to-colleague relationship than a service-to-service provider relationship.
Thank you, Daniel.
Done?